Growth therapy. Sorry, I need a moment to breathe. Because one, I can't breathe, and
try
two,
breathing through your nose, but that's not the.
It's gonna wheeze.
But you know what is interesting? Nose breaths are the things that calm down your nervous system. So if you're struggling to breathe through your nose, you may actually be missing a lot of like nervous system regulation that you need.
I think I'm missing a lot of things in life.
We all are missing.
Yeah, like because of my breathing. It's so true. But like,
we're gonna get this figured out.
Okay, we're gonna get this situated.
Right?
Maybe we'll do a little bit.
Dr. Sugarman.
Okay. Well, we have it recorded now, so I'll remember the name.
Dr. Joseph Sugarman, Beverly Hills, ear, nose, and throat doctor.
Like, does he take insurance? I'll do that later. Yeah. Okay. do the logistics later. Okay. Well, hi guys. It's me, Stefanie Maegan, your host of Broco Therapy, and we have the lovely, the baddest Nicoletta from Sluts and Scholars. Thank you for coming.
I am so honored to be here and be a part of your community now. And
we're all friends, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And this is the first show I'm recording since the live show. So that was last night. So I'm just getting it together. Yeah, I'm just getting it together.
You missed out, and you should definitely buy tickets when the next one happens.
I just remember meeting you, and I was so excited. You're like, we're recording tomorrow. I was like, oh my God. And I just gave you the biggest hug. I was like, it's you in person.
We made sure to plan it for later in the afternoon.
Yeah, because you asked for the morning. I was like, girl.
You're like, bitch, who the fuck are you?
It's like, I want to be real. I got things to do. I need to sleep in.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I'm not hungover. You know.
I don't know how, but I'm really impressed with your stamina.
Yeah, it's years. My 20s kind of prepped me for this moment.
So, but I can't do it anymore. Like, I don't know how the fuck I used to go to Coachella and things like that and, like, sleep in the shade of a car and camp in the dust and just be able to rage for 3 to 4 days in a row.
Right.
Now I can barely make it through, like, an evening.
Like, I have to take a nap to prepare, to make sure I get through midnight. You know what I mean?
And then I used to be able to drive home Sunday night, get home at, 4 or 5 in the morning, go to school the next day on Monday. And now I need to carve out, like, a week recovery time.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, and then I'm not, it's the weekend and I don't have any stamina for work.
Right. You're like, oh my God, I'm too tired to work. No, I honestly, like, I miss those days. Like, of just having, like, your body doesn't feel anything. You're like, yeah, let me just get fucked up and take all these drugs and eat Jack in the Box.
Well, you can have that now. I think it's just called dissociation.
Yeah.
It's just called not being in touch with your body and pushing it to the limits until you die.
Oh, my God. That's
Which
true.
is, like, a fun ride for a while,
You're right. I mean, yeah, that's,
Some
I guess.
of us go there unconsciously in our trauma. It's good fun.
Oh, my God. Wow.
It's a hell of a drug.
Right. I was like, this got dark. Should we talk about that? No, kidding. We're here to talk about.
This is actually your personal therapy session.
I know. This is we're disassociating. Oh my God. No. Thankfully, I don't drink the way that I used to. Like, I mean, I was just excited last night, so I think it was a mixture of like.
We're celebrating.
Exactly, and it was like a sense of like dopamine because people are like cheering. You know what I mean? So I'm like just even more. I think I was like. I was like more drunk than I should have been because I really didn't drink that much,
Your brain just associates cheering with
right,
drinking.
Exactly.
Like whenever you hear it, you're just like chug.
Yeah,
chug.
Right.
Anything, like,
it's like a high. You get like a high. So it was like this high mixed with like 2 shots of Fireball. I mean, I think I had like a few pink goggles. Like maybe I did have a good amount of drink.
You have to, support the sponsors.
Exactly. I was just supporting,
Yeah.
Hashtag plugging.
Yeah.
But anyways. Oh my God, ADHD. So you just saw me be really chaotic. So now I'm just gathering my thoughts. We are here today to talk about, I mean, honestly, anything. I always get like questions and stories about like, how do you like spice things up in a relationship? Or like, I really like this guy, but sex isn't really great. Or like, how do I tell him I want to use a vibrator? Or like, I want to do, I want to do this. I want to try this. Like people are always just like, don't know how to do that.
Yeah, these are all the same clients I get in my sex therapy practice.
Yeah, and for me personally, I felt like this was something I can even take. My personal take is, I've been with my boyfriend for 2 years. Like, yeah, sex is great, but it's just like there are times where it's like, okay, what's the next new thing we're gonna do, and like how do we get to that point? And sometimes when you're really busy, you're like I give it up to Nikki who could like plan and prep and be like, okay, this day I'm gonna peg a man. You know, like for me, like I have to be spur in the moment, and you know, like our schedules, like I get too tired, and it just like I feel bad because I feel like I'm not as sexually. Excuse me. Oh my god! And I just farted. I'm so sorry.
We did the same time.
I'm so sorry.
Well, I'm turned on. So.
Is that a kink? That has to be a kink to somebody.
Absolutely, it is. People sell farts in jars. People love getting farted on. Like
that's who I need to have
things.
as my audience too. Like
you
I
can
need to
absolutely have an OnlyFans that's all about farting.
I would make so much money.
Yeah, people are into like mind control by farts. Like there's you imagine it, it is out there. But based on what you're
mind
talking
control
about,
by farts.
Yeah.
What? What is that?
I've just controlled
you.
you.
You just controlled me. I'm like, whoa, wait, how?
Very turned on and sleepy.
Wait, so it's like you fart and you just control their mind with the farts?
Yes, like the fart is like a smell that you breathe in, like a noxious gas, and then you're like, I will do whatever you say.
I would be so fucking rich if I did this.
So let's get this business going.
We'll talk.
Yeah.
Oh my, okay.
Again, if you can like imagine it, it is out there, it exists.
Yeah.
But in terms of keeping things like spicy or whatever, I mean, I think first and foremost, it's important that we have to like normalize the lack of spontaneity in long-term relationships. Like we are all taught this bullshit archaic thing that like if you love somebody it should just happen naturally, and this kind of, you know, whatever shows we watch, rom-com thing, people who have been together for years, and then it's just like they come home and they see each other and it just gets
and they
like,
just fuck
and they just fuck and it gets hot and heavy and then they come at the same time and it's just so magical. Like
not real. I mean it can be
real. It is like an item on the menu, but when you're in a long-term relationship and you have work, you have stress, you have other things going on, you potentially have kids, you have a podcast, like if you are not doing what I call scheduling spontaneity, sex is not going to happen most of the time. Like you can wait for it to happen spontaneously, and if you're okay just accepting that it's probably going to happen less, like that's fine, but you have to schedule time. And I find that people are really resistant to this when I tell them, and I don't want to say you need to schedule sex because that can put pressure on of like if it's scheduled and then I'm not in the mood, I have to do it anyway. But scheduling spontaneity is kind of like scheduled pleasure time where you're just setting aside time for like pleasure, for connection, and then you get to pick something off the menu in that time frame, as opposed to like on Thursday we're for sure gonna do anal because sometimes it's not an anal, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I think a lot of people are resistant to this because then they're like, but I want it to be spontaneous. It's not fun if it's not spontaneous. But like, let me ask you this. Have you ever taken a nice vacation or a nice trip?
No,
you're like, bitch, no, girl. I need one.
I know, like I need one.
Okay, but whether it's that or like something else, like your live show, were you able to just do it or did you have to plan for it?
I had to plan for the live show, yeah.
Why?
Because I wanted to.
Because you wanted to.
Yeah.
Did any part of the planning make it more fun and exciting? I know sometimes it's stressful too.
Yeah. No, it was fun to kind of like create a Pinterest board.
And did you get some like anticipation?
Yeah.
Like excited, like
I did.
Probably nervous, but also excited.
It was like a good nervous. Yeah.
But this is the same thing that can happen when we like schedule spontaneous time together.
Right.
But a lot of people think like, oh, it's sex, it should just be easy or it should just happen.
Right.
And it's just not often true. And so then we get stuck and then we aren't having it, and then time passes by and we're just not committing that time, and it sucks.
Yeah, like what's the best way to do it? Because if I think like scheduling, like, okay, put it in your Google Calendar at 5:00 today, we're gonna like go into the bedroom and have sex. Like I feel like for me, you're right. Like I'd be like, that's just so typical. Like I guess it needs to have some sort of excitement and like.
Well, but then you get to plan for it, and you don't necessarily have to plan for it together. You can plan for it in your mind and start getting yourself aroused. And the reason why this is important, has anyone on your podcast talked about responsive versus spontaneous desire?
No, not at all.
All right, so this is like
this is your chance.
This is my chance.
this is all you.
Up.
Right.
Okay, so this is key. Everyone has a different desire and arousal pattern. So just to like put it out there in a way that will hopefully make sense, there's a difference between desire and arousal. arousal is just the body's like physical unconscious response to stimuli. Like if I just like jump out and scare you, right? Like your body may get aroused. It doesn't have to be sexual, but like a part of your nervous system turns on in response to stimuli, not necessarily sexual.
Right.
That's arousal. And so that's the body physically responding. That's the heart starting to race, the breath starting to quicken, lubrication starting to happen, and it's unconscious. Desire is the like heart and the mind of like, I want to do this thing. Sometimes desire happens without arousal, and sometimes arousal happens without desire.
Okay.
So what that means is like I could be experiencing physical arousal, but that doesn't mean I want to have sex. And this is really important when we talk about consent and non-consent stuff. Or on the flip side, sometimes you want the thing, but your body's not responding the way. Like maybe you've got some whiskey dick, or maybe you're not getting lubricated, or your dick's not getting hard, but you want this thing. So sometimes it doesn't line up. But here's where this comes for responsive and spontaneous. So there are some people who experience what's called spontaneous desire, which means like the wind blows and they're like, I have a boner.
Right.
I'm ready to fuck. This is mostly like cisgendered men.
I was going to say, like, my boyfriend. I feel like he just wakes up in the morning and he's like, I'm horny, you know?
Right. It's not necessarily gendered, but it's like when arousal and desire happens at the same time, and you just kind of feel like not a lot has to happen for you to be down. Responsive desire is more like throughout your day, you might not really be thinking about sex. You're not really like there might be things that excite you or turn you on, but you're not really like just ready.
Right.
So then if the spontaneous person, can I put my hands on you?
Yeah.
If the spontaneous person comes
like,
up and
touch
they're
me.
like, hey, babe, and you're like, I was just fucking editing my podcast. Like, why are you trying to come at me?
Right.
That the responsive person doesn't really experience desire until after their body starts becoming aroused. And so it's not about like forcing yourself to be like, well, just wait it out. You'll love it eventually. Not in like a rapey way, but like in a way of knowing that I need to make sure that my house is clean first, and that I have a long warm up, and then after I start kissing, then my body starts becoming aroused. I start becoming kind of turned on, and then I'm like, oh wait, I remember that I like this. I remember this can be pleasurable. Now I want to have sex. But a lot of responsive people don't give themselves the time and the platform to build to that.
Whoa, okay. This makes sense. Like, I understood. Like, because there's been times where I'm like, ADHD, I obviously, like, independent, podcast. I'm doing everything myself. There's a lot on my plate to do, day to day.
So it might take a lot to switch into like a place where you can experience pleasure.
Exactly. Like I'm not, even though I'm editing and talking about sex and like,
but
like
that's for work.
That's for work. And then, but to like my body, like my mind isn't thinking about having sex.
Right.
Like I'm always thinking about something, especially when I'm stressed.
Yeah.
Like I don't think about it at all. Like nothing gets me there. But I've realized like, I'd be like, okay, whatever. And then once somehow, we're like in the moment. I'm like, oh yeah, I do love it. I am a fucking whore.
Yeah.
You
just need a little time to get to your whore self.
Yeah. Like it exactly. And there's just times too, like where, okay, it's like, it's the weekend and I actually don't have plans or like things I need to get done right away. Yeah. And so I am more in a relaxed state. And that's when I'm ready to be like, let's fuck, Wait,
let me ask you this. What helps you relax? Because that for the responsive person, you're question. Like, I don't know. That's why I'm talking to a therapist right now.
Yeah, exactly. We're like, that's
for
a good question.
This is
therapy is too expensive. No kidding.
So I think a lot of people don't spend the time to know what that takes. And look, not all of us can get to a state of like pure relaxation. Sometimes it's like relaxed enough.
Right.
And then if we get pulled out, we learn how to like come back to the moment. There's another piece of this that's really great called erotic blueprints. Have you talked about these?
No.
It's kind of built on this like spontaneous responsive framework, but it's sort of like almost like a personality test for your sexual style.
I need to take that. I want to know.
We can literally look it up right now.
Can we? Okay, yeah. How do I look up?
Okay, I'm not a huge fan of everything this company does, no offense, but there's a good Goop article about it.
I know. I get it.
And they actually talked about it. I really liked this the show Sex, Love, and Goop. I actually thought they did a really good
They
job.
did a really good job too.
Yeah.
I will say, because I'm, Grandpa Goop could be, but
Okay,
that was
so
a good
that's
show.
Miss
Yeah.
Jaya Erotic Blueprints. Basically, we all have kind of like a different
Was Erotic Blueprint?
erotic blueprints, and we all have a different style of like what arouses us, how our desire works. And so this sex educator, Miss Jaya, and her partners kind of like broke it up into different categories that we all kind of have different percentages of. From what you're telling me, I think you're what's called a sensual, which is like the upside is that you really like the artistry of stuff. Like you like the scents, you like the colors, you like the sensations.
Yes.
And then the shadow part of that is you get stuck in your head. Is that right?
Stuck in my head. Yeah, like, I mean, explain further. Maybe I am stuck in my head about being stuck in my head.
You can definitely read these, and we'll have to come back. You'll have to come back and tell listeners like what your blueprint is. But like,
I love going out to drink and getting drunk with my friends. I mean, that's like no secret. We all know that. And a lot of us do. It's fun going out getting drunk with your friends. But the one thing that we tend to forget about is our safety. And one of that is our drink getting spiked. And that's why I'm such a full advocate and such a big fan of our sponsor, Nightcap. It's cute. It looks like a scrunchie. You could put it in your hair. And then once you're out and you want to let your hair down and get wild, you could turn that scrunchie into a nightcap, meaning you could put it over your drink to prevent any possible drink spikage, if you know what I mean. Right now, Nightcap has a great holiday promo. My listeners get 20% off their purchase. Just visit nightcapit.com and use code BROKEGIRL at checkout. That's code BROKEGIRL for 20% off your purchase at nightcapit.com. Brokel Therapy is sponsored by BetterHelp Therapy Online. I'm going to be straight up and say that life is so annoying. Like, life could be amazing, life could be phenomenal, but it's annoying being an adult. And I wish we had just a user manual to be like, okay, this is what you need to do in order to be a functioning adult. It's hard. They kind of tell you, but it's not really. And that's why therapy is important. I say it time and time again. I mean, the show's called Brokel Therapy for a reason. And that's why I'm glad we have companies like BetterHelp, because they make therapy more convenient and more accessible and more affordable. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/brokegirl. That's betterhelp.com/brokegirl.
But getting stuck in your head about well, what does this look like? Or I need to do this.
100% for sure.
How does my body look from this angle? Or
There's I'm always thinking about oh my God, my gut is completely out right now.
Okay. So for the responsive person who might be sensual, you may need to take ownership of what prep you do before that scheduled spontaneity time. Because if you're kind of like a classic car with that responsive desire and you're waiting for somebody to turn you on, it's going to take some time in the moment. Maybe not all the time, but especially with a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
Versus if you're doing little things throughout the week that start boiling the water a little bit to a simmer, then by the time your spontaneous partner comes at you, you're ready to go.
Yeah. I also for instance, so he went on a work trip and he came back, and I guess it was just he was sharing a hotel with a coworker. He can't jack off and shit. So there was just a lot of buildup.
I mean, you can.
But he was just trying to be professional, I guess. He was just let's just hold it off. Let's keep the load.
My profession is we're masturbating.
You're
in this room.
right? You're what do you mean this
Get
is
out
professional?
Of the room so I can masturbate.
Do it in the shower. Figure it out. Right. But he just he just didn't do it because he just had whatever. And so he just had a lot of buildup. So when he came back, he was he's not, I mean, he could be really aggressive, but I think when he approaches sex, he's not aggressive. He's aggressive once we're in there. Do you want
him to be aggressive?
I liked it. I liked that he was just
you felt his hunger.
Yeah, I loved feeling his hunger because and I get it because according to Danny, I'm a Gemini in my sex life, so I'm very I'm either in or I'm completely out. Because I'm just, And so my boyfriend doesn't ever want to feel rejected.
Sounds like he's going to work on that.
maybe he needs therapy. Right. Yeah, like he was just like, I don't want to like, and also just like consensual. Like he doesn't know what the right way to like go about it,
Yeah.
without, obviously he wants to be like forceful in a way, but like because I'm so black and white sometimes.
Yeah. He doesn't want to push it.
He doesn't, he's still trying to, I think we're still learning and he's still learning how to like go about it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's where I think knowing who's responsive and having your partner know this is so important, because a lot of times people will feel rejected.
Right.
As opposed to being like, oh, we're just different styles.
Yeah.
Right? Or the way that like the Blueprint folks express it is kind of like you speak a different language, and you could be like, kind of like love languages. You could be saying one thing in this language, and if you don't understand the language I'm speaking, it's going to feel like we're not connecting, or we can't connect.
No, 100%.
But if you can learn each other's thing and each other's language and each other's style, it's going to be easier to not take it personally, because instead of it's like rejecting me, it's like, oh, we just got to change the approach. Like we just have to, I just need to speak a little bit of a different language here.
Right.
And that can feel a lot less shitty with the rejection.
Yeah, because I feel like in the beginning, now it's not, like I still have these moments, but not as bad as like maybe like when it first started happening. It was like I used to feel like bad for rejecting him. Like I didn't want him to make him feel like I wasn't into him. It wasn't anything about that, And I think especially because like I have a show that's so sex positive and I'm very sex positive and all these things that like
sex positive also means respecting when you don't want to have sex.
Right. But I think, sometimes like people and men that I've dated always assume like, oh, like she's just ready to fuck anytime or I'm fucking everything.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm a sex therapist.
Right.
I understand.
You understand, yeah. So I think some, there might have been assumptions, and I feel like I've also said things in the past where I was like not fucking for a while. I was like, as soon as I got a boyfriend, I'm gonna be fucking every day because I thought I'd be like that. I thought I would want to fuck every day.
I heard on episode 34
yes. He was
that
like, you
when
mentioned,
you found a boyfriend, we'd be fucking every
right.
day.
And How to Manifest a Man, you talked about like how you said you want to fuck all the time. I thought that's what we were gonna get, So I get it, but it's just at that time I wasn't having sex, so I was just like built up.
Yeah.
So I was like, I would fuck every day to make up for it, and then now I'm here and I'm like, just kidding, So it's like I'm like, oh wait, maybe I don't work like that, because I mean this is my first adult relationship. Like everyone in the past were just kind of like situationships, like some like smaller flings. So it was always kind of this, like, I don't know when I'm going to get it. So when I did get it, it was just like all in. But when you're in a relationship, you know that sex is always there. So sometimes you like, I'm just like, oh, I could just do it later. I have things to do,
And I mean, I think it's important to acknowledge that it's not going to be there all the time.
Yeah.
But it is like I don't want to say it's like a job. Obviously, it's a job for me. But
Right.
like it does require commitment and time and energy.
Yeah.
And so if you're saying that like it's important to you, but you're noticing you're not putting in a lot of time and effort, like that's okay if that's all right with you. But like it does require time and effort to like build that
right.
space and to get into the moment, especially if you're somebody like me also that gets stuck in your head. And so if you're not doing enough to allow yourself to get to a place where you can actually be open to pleasure, that's going to be hard. But I get it. Like it's difficult when you have work and other stuff going on, but if it's important, there has to be time carved out. Otherwise, like you're just going to keep pushing it off.
So how do you know when it's like, I mean, this isn't a situation that I'm dealing with, but like other couples, how do like just a couple in general know that like maybe it's not because you're into them, even though you love that person. And so, but like you're not sexually aroused or you just don't feel super sexual with them. Like what advice do you have for situations like that?
I mean, I'm biased, but go to a sex therapist.
I mean, honestly, yeah, because there's a lot. There's nuance to it, I guess.
Well, I think this is where I have a little bit of trouble. I do think, sure, there is definitely like a natural thing where we can find ourselves like in our pheromones, like really attracted to somebody and things like that. But also like, I do believe that connection is something that can be like built and can be discovered and rediscovered over time. And especially if you're in a long-term relationship, like we live, in a culture that sort of has this mentality of like the quick, easy, I don't know, swiping mentality, right? Where it's like, well, if something's not working and now I have to put work into it, like next.
Oh, yes.
And
That's
so
many
I
people.
do believe that people can create connection. And look, so many people, myself included, like have sexual hangups of sorts. And so I do think that even if you've like never had a certain kind of what some people call like natural chemistry,
Mhm.
that you can create connection, but you do have to be willing and you have to put work into it. And even for the people that like maybe have that natural chemistry, whatever, at the beginning, that fades.
Yeah.
You know, it's so fueled by newness and by hormones. Like the brain on new love looks very similar to being high on cocaine.
Honestly.
And so it's
Yeah.
like that's going to fade. And so even if it's a line, you still have to put work into it. And so look, I can't decide for each individual person like when is too much work, but it is work. And so you don't have to do it alone. Like none of us are fucking taught how to do this. That's why people come see me or see a sex coach, just like wanting to learn the tools to make this work.
Right.
And so I do believe it can happen. And on the flip side, no one person is going to be your everything. And I'm still trying to, even though I know that logically, like there's still a part of me that in our culture feels like it should be one person.
Right. Yeah.
Right? One person who's our
monogamy,
friend, our lover, our, sexual partner.
You have to categorize like everyone in a certain box or just one thing. And
yeah, exactly. And so I think, look, there are some people who maybe you don't as easily align sexually, but all the other stuff works. And if you're deciding on monogamy, you can work at those other things.
Yeah.
Or you can open up.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, it's dedication, it's time. And so for people who aren't feeling connected, use some tools.
Yeah.
Like go to a sex therapist, go to a sex coach. There's some great online classes. I like one called Beducated. They have
Oh, yes, I know Beducated.
Yeah, they've got classes online you can take. There are retreats you can go on. One of them is there's some called Back to the Body for men. There's one called Apollo. Like there's all kinds of shit. And so sure, you may decide at the end of that like it's not working, but if it feels worth it to you, put in the work that matches how worth it you say it is.
Right. I agree. Yeah, because I mean, I feel like with anything, even if it's like a job, and you're just like, I can't put in the work anymore. I'm tired.
Yeah.
Like you feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is okay, but like then I agree to that with your partner. Like maybe this isn't a priority for us right now.
Right. Yeah. Have a conversation. Also, so what if, let's dive into like non-monogamy and all that stuff. Like, let's say, because one day me and my boyfriend, we've been open to like one day having an open relationship, whatever that looked like. We're not there yet just because I feel like it's still very new. It's not new, but we're just not in that phase. But we're like, we see the perks of it. We see how like just having sex with each other the entire time is like could get a little stale. We might want to switch it up, And so, but for other people who like don't know how to approach it with their partners, like how do you go about that?
Yeah. Well, firstly, I'd like to acknowledge that I think like not that you have to be like sexually or romantically non-monogamous or that either one is better than the other, but like I think we're all non-monogamous to an extent, maybe not sexually or romantically, but like do you have multiple people you love in your life?
Yeah, everybody. I love everyone.
I love everyone.
Yeah.
Right? So like we have the capacity for lots of love.
Yeah.
And then I also think I'm gonna say, can I ask you a personal question? But I feel like this whole podcast is
personal. Ask me, get as personal as you want.
How do you feel about your sex life with yourself?
I don't have a sex life with myself. I don't like masturbate. I grew up in a very like Catholic household, very like sheltered.
There was not a lot of permission for that.
Yeah. So, as much as like when I was younger, there were times where, I'm humping a pillow and I'm like, I like this. Or I'm like touching myself.
Yeah, of course. You're a human being.
Right. Exactly. And like, I think every person goes through that phase in their like younger
mine
years.
Was the pole at the park.
What? I love that in public, bitch. I love
well,
so
I didn't know it was Matt. I mean, now I do like public things. So
you're like, maybe that.
And there was always boys playing baseball that I would hit on. I don't know. But like, I didn't know it was sexual at the time. But, I would like hang on it and like clench my muscles. And
you'd be climbing on
the. I was fucking ripped, let me tell you. For the amount of hours I hung on that goddamn pole. Like,
maybe you're meant to be a stripper.
Oh, I mean, I love pole dancing.
Right, exactly.
I don't
Do
have
you?
the fitness anymore.
Oh,
But maybe if I started masturbating at the park again, but I
Maybe-
think that's illegal. now.
yeah, that might be as like a grown woman.
Like I can get my own pole at home. I
Right.
guess.
But I love that though. But yeah, but I never fully like. I feel like all my friends are like, oh my god, I was masturbating so much when I was younger. Like I wasn't. I was ashamed of like touching myself. So it was a lot of shame getting to the point, and now as an adult, like I got used to never doing it. It was never something that I did. But I love the vibrator. I love like having sex, but it's just, you know what? I actually tried to explore masturbation more like a few years ago, and it was really hard. Now I know ADHD, but it was really hard for me to like focus. Like I would get, it was just when I was single too.
Yeah.
I would get really sad after masturbate, like,
But
or
that comes from a lot of people who have some shame.
yeah,
You know, it's a very vulnerable, and our body holds so much trauma and stuff. Like that shit gets released through sex, through orgasm, through touch, through dedicating time for pleasure. Like a lot of people experience what's called like postcoital dysphoria, where they're sad after.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad it like okay, there's a word for it, right? So what is it called?
Postcoital dysphoria. Sometimes it's a hormonal thing because it's like you get a high and then you drop. But other times it's from shame, it's from trauma, it's from
it was
or
more so
sometimes
like
it's
I
good.
felt
Sometimes
like
you,
lonely.
Like, needed to release it.
Yeah, like I would feel like lonely, like because I would like try to imagine, or like I'd watch porn and I'd be sad because I'd be like, I wish that was me. Or sometimes I'd be like, how much are they getting paid? Like I'll think of production.
Yeah,
that
it's
could be
good
ADHD.
to do ethical porn watching, but like you can do that before you self pleasure.
But I'd be like, oh my god, or like the camera angle. I don't know. I get into production mode and then I'm like, no, it's not. We're here.
Look,
you know,
that's gonna happen. Like getting out of the moment, and so a lot of things that I help clients with is like tools to help bring them back. So it's not about never going out of the moment. It's how to like come back to yourself.
Right.
Emily Nagoski talks a lot about that in her book "Come as You Are," which everybody should read. Homework. It's a good one. But I mean, I know I'm not your therapist, but can I give you a
pretend
suggestion?
you act like my therapist.
Okay, great.
You're my therapist right now.
I wonder if you're open to non-monogamy. It sounds like it might be interesting to start with making sure that your first non-monogamous thing is your love and pleasure with yourself.
And why is that?
Treating yourself as your own primary partner for a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, for a lot of different reasons. I think that it is important to have a pleasure practice with ourselves. There's a great Audre Lorde quote, and if you don't know who she is, look up her stuff, listeners out there. But she did a lot for helping folks, especially communities of color and marginalized folks, kind of, basically activism through pleasure. And so she has a quote that says something along the lines of like self-care being an act of like warfare almost in a system that tries to like bring us down or tell us that you don't have the space or don't deserve pleasure. Right. And so having a pleasure practice, and that doesn't even have to be masturbation. That could be like a skincare practice. That could be putting lotion on and telling your body that you like it. That could be making some good tea for yourself. Yeah. But a time when you're like, this is a time for me when the only goal is like being with myself and pleasure, which is sort of telling your mind, body, and spirit that like you deserve this.
Oh,
like,
wait, I want to cry. I think I'm getting my period. Also getting my period in like 4 days, so I'm like extra.
No, but it's meaningful. It's I cry a lot when I slow down.
I'm like, why? Like, I really want to. Look at my. What spell are you casting on me?
It's my fart spell.
It's your fart smell. Oh my god, you're right.
You're under my therapy fart smell. Right. You know, actually, just to. Not that you can't cry because I welcome it. I had a client, or he wasn't a client, a potential client reach out one time who I get a lot of what's called creepy callers, or I used to back in the day, who don't actually want therapy. They just want to like talk about sex on the phone and see if they can like make you uncomfortable. Or masturbate on the phone.
Oh my gosh.
And so sometimes it's hard to tell because people call in and they want to talk about sex. So it's like I got to be open to like weird shit, you know?
Right.
And when I say weird, I mean it lovingly. I love weird shit.
You're so, like weird shit is the best
that's
shit.
My jam.
Right.
And so first he reached out and he was like, you know, wanted to talk about therapy, and then ended up he lived in a different state, and I was like, look, I can't do therapy with people out of California, but I can give you some referrals if you tell me, you know, whereabouts you're at, if you're comfortable. And then he was like, actually, I would just like to pay you to fart in the room with me because I've gone in some public restrooms and I really love the smell after a girl shits in it.
Send him my way.
I know, in my head, I was like, well, how much? Like, I fart all the time.
Right.
I can't do that as a therapist, but maybe in a different kind of practice.
It could be a different type of client.
Yeah. So I sent him to like a pro
Yes.
dom who would do that for him. But anyway, back to crying.
Right. Back to crying.
It's just farting,
The emotions.
crying, burp at the same time. No, but that's what I'm saying. It's fucking healing to allow yourself a space that's like, this is just pleasure for me. And so I think what that does is first it helps you feel more like deserving of pleasure, which makes you more able to receive pleasure from another person. Secondly, it helps you get to know your body more and like what you like. Thirdly, it doesn't have your partner be the gatekeeper to your pleasure.
Oh, shit.
So a lot of times we wait, and if something's not aligning with our partner, it's like, feels like they're holding us back from all this great stuff. And if they were just better or we were more connected, you would have more pleasure, as opposed to like, I'm the best fucking lay I'm ever gonna have.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. Like,
So,
like I'm the best I've ever had.
You know, like, sometimes it's nice to have you there. I'll let you be there sometimes.
Right.
But, like, my time with myself is the best.
Exactly. And that, like, I mean, till this day, like, I also, there's also this, like, not the sex shame that goes with it, but it's like the body dysmorphia. I think too is like, oh, I'm ashamed of like the way my body looks naked, or I'm ashamed of like looking at my vagina. Like it's so dark and hairy and like, you know, like I was so hard on how my vagina looked.
How could you be in the moment and experience pleasure when you're stuck
when I'm
in
just
that?
like, my vagina's ugly, you know, like when, I mean, not, I don't think that anymore. I'm like, she's great, she's beautiful, but this has taken work, you know? And like, I mean, honestly, I'm still even working on it. There's still moments where I'm like, I don't want to look at her. I don't want to like, you know, I don't want to like look at myself in the mirror, like naked. Like that's something I need to practice on, because I know that's like body dysmorphia 101.
No, but self-love to me is a muscle. It's not like a goal that we get to where it's like, now I love myself forever. You know, like, and nothing can touch me.
You're like, I'm healed.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you know somebody like that, fucking introduce me. I want to know what farts they're smelling.
Right, exactly. I want to smell their farts. Shit. I'll inhale their farts. Right.
But yeah, it's a practice, and some days it's easier than other days, but having a pleasure practice, and even if it's not a self-pleasure one, is going to help you change the way you feel about your body.
Okay.
Because it's literally telling your mind and your neural pathways that I deserve to have time made for me, I deserve to have someone show up for me, and I am pleasure able. And I deserve pleasure. And so, like, setting aside a little bit of time, even if it's just fucking 30 seconds where it's just something that's for you, that's going to build your tolerance to what's called positive affect tolerance. So like, we all kind of have triggers when we know that something is, like, too shitty and we start to get triggered.
Right.
We also have triggers for feeling too good. Which fucking sucks.
Right.
And that can come from like not feeling like we deserve something, shame, trauma, all kinds of stuff. Just being women and feeling like we're supposed to be a good hostess, whatever it is. So it's a muscle. And if you work on having a pleasure practice, you can get to a place of having a higher positive affect tolerance where you are more able to receive the good. You're more able to receive compliments. You're more able to receive pleasure. You can stay there a little longer, because it should be easy to receive pleasure, but it's fucking not.
It's not. It's hard. Especially giving it to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I also feel like I need to like be naked in front of the mirror more. I feel like now that like as I'm talking to you, I'm like, you're right. Like I don't masturbate at all.
Yeah.
Like, especially like as of lately. I feel like I've tried to experiment with it, and then now I just like I don't even get the desire to. Like people talk about it all the time, like, oh, I'm just gonna masturbate, whatever. I'm like, it's not even on my like day-to-day plan or in my calendar. Like it just doesn't happen. And like it is a lot of like, I don't want to look at myself naked. Like I just had that kind of like, I'm gonna cry, Nicoletta. I just had that realization.
But it's because it's hurtful, you know?
Yeah.
It's
why am I so mean to myself?
Should we say a few nice things?
I don't know. I don't know what to do. I'm also getting my period in like 4 days.
Yeah.
So it's like extra. I get I cry like days before my period.
I'm mean to myself a lot too, and it's for me it's not usually the physical, it's the emotional stuff.
Aww.
About like what am I doing wrong, and I should be doing this better, and I should be doing that better.
Oh,
and
that too.
Oh my gosh, it's fucking tedious. But luckily there are communities, there's support. Like shit, I'm thinking we need to get our friends together and have like a little naked party where we just love on ourselves and like practice it together.
Oh my God, that sounds terrifying.
It would be scary. But you know what? There's also professionals who specialize in this. There's people that I like send my clients to, and there's so many good resources for this. Like one is I don't know if you've heard of OMGYes.
I'm wet.
You're a different kind of wet.
I'm a different kind of wet, but I'm wet. My face is like.
How is that for you?
Like, I mean, I guess it's like therapy, right? You're supposed to cry in therapy.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes you gotta.
I just think I haven't cried about it in a while.
Yeah, I'm so here for you.
I also like hate being vulnerable for people.
And here we are.
So I like laugh at myself. So I'm like crying, but I'm also like laughing at it. Like it's an Aquarius thing, I think.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you being vulnerable with me, and I'm here for you. And also, if that's too much, we'll make a joke about it.
Okay.
So it's not too much.
It makes me feel good to like laugh at myself in a like an endearing way.
Yeah.
That's why I think that's why I try, like
But
I make jokes
like
about.
You found where like the healing can happen.
Yeah, I just laugh. I make a joke.
Yeah. Well, that's how a lot of us deal with it. Like shit is hard, you know. And I mean, shit. This has been my shit.
Shit.
Well, you know, shit.
Right. Shit. It just be like that.
It should just be like that. I mean, fuck. This is my career, and I am still working at this stuff all the time.
Yeah.
You know? It's a process, and I've had so much help.
Yeah.
I still go to a lot of therapy.
Right.
And
I was like, therapists need therapists too.
I
like
go to a lot of retreats. There's some like beautiful retreats on the subject of sex too. I have a colleague who hosts some called Back to the Body. There's some really great ones out there, and they're all focused on like practicing this.
Yeah.
And like this isn't something that you have to be lonely in and like do by yourself or should do by yourself. Like healing doesn't mean we have to have like a naked, party like I was talking about. But
maybe we could get there one day.
Yeah, it's a stepping stone.
Yeah.
But this is something where we need support, It's
Yeah.
like a relearning, it's a reteaching, and it's really nice to not have to do that by yourself.
It does. It's just like scary.
It's totally scary.
Like I don't even like swimming in front of people.
Yeah. Well, are you open to a suggestion?
Yeah, I'm open to all the suggestions.
One small thing, because look, if it feels like a big step for folks listening out there to go from like 0 to 100 on the like self-love, now I'm just going to masturbate every day. Like that can feel like a big ask.
Right.
Right. And I feel like a small step is just in the morning when you wake up, before you pick up your phone, before you do anything for anybody else.
Yeah.
Before you answer your texts, before you even talk to your partner, like tell them to hold on a minute.
Right.
Just take 30 seconds to do something that's just for you.
I love that.
That's it. Just 30 seconds.
Like to touch yourself or
Let's not even say sexual.
Okay.
Something that has no goal, that is not for somebody, that is just for pleasure.
Yeah.
It could be sexual, or it doesn't have to be. It could be like just rubbing yourself. It could be putting on your favorite song and like flailing around in a onesie. I've done that. It could be
very specific. Yeah. I love that.
It could be like making a tea and like really enjoying the tea. It could even be like while you're brushing your teeth, like get a little freaky with your toothbrush and like rub it on your tongue and lips in like a sensual way. Like
you've done that too.
Maybe.
I love that.
It could be like drinking a glass of water with intention. It could be saying a nice thing to yourself.
Doing stretching in the morning or something.
Yeah, start small. Literally 30 seconds of just something that's just for you. And that's going to start to like build that. And then I think next step after that would be doing little like love rituals. And I don't mean like self-masturbation pleasure thing, but like in the shower when you're washing your body or if you lotion your body. And this has often made me cry when I've done it.
It's like, I'm gonna cry.
We'll just keep crying about it
Yeah.
because it is
just sitting here and it keeps coming out.
Sometimes it has to. You're just so wet today.
I'm just so wet today, you guys.
This needs to be a shirt.
I know.
Of you crying that just says, I'm so wet.
I'm
Please
so wet
make
today.
this shirt.
I know. Oh my God.
This needs to be a Sluts and
This
Scholars.
that might be the
shirt
next
with Girl
merch.
Girl. Please, God.
Right. I mean, that's why the front of my cover photo is me crying, because it's just,
Is it?
yeah.
Were you actually crying?
Well, actually, the first time, so I have different versions of it. I try to do one like every year, every other year.
You're like, I hate being vulnerable, but it's marketing.
But it's marketing, and it is what it is. But the first one I ever did in 2016, like I actually like was crying. I mean, over dramatized it, but I remember I was like taking photos with my friend, and he was like, well, like think about a situation that made you sad. And I think like the day before, a couple days, it was very soon around that time, I like was really upset about a guy because I was like, we had sex and I was telling him how much I really cared about him, and he fell asleep.
That sucks. He was just so relaxed.
He was just so touched and relaxed, and like it was like a lullaby.
Sometimes it's unconscious, right? Like you're saying about arousal.
He fell asleep, so I like cried. But I was like, now I laugh about it, but back then I was like, what the fuck? So I was really hurt by that.
Yeah.
And so when I was starting this podcast, I had that photo shoot, and I remember I was like telling the story, and I was like, and then, like I was like kind of crying, and then I was like, wait, maybe I should put like run my mascara, like it kind of like built from that. So then every year I kind of do like a different version of it.
Thanks to that guy, because of you, we have a very successful podcast.
Exactly. So shout out to Nick.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Nick.
For making me cry.
Yes. For making me cry and falling asleep in the middle of me confessing my love for you. So
okay, but that's a good point, right?
Right.
See how hurtful it was when he fell asleep on your love.
Right.
Right? When we don't make the time to have a little pleasure practice for ourselves, that's how, sounds so cheesy, it's gonna make me cry. That's how it feels to our inner child.
Aww.
That we're like falling asleep.
Anything with the inner child.
I know. But that's how it feels to ourselves, that we're falling asleep on our love, you know? We're just looking for that, and we're just sort of like, I don't have time for that. And like how fucking rejecting
but
that
then
feels.
like you're giving it to like this person who's like doesn't care, where they just fall, you know, and it's just like, wait, I should be giving that to my younger self, because clearly
or at least first, and then you can have more to give to others if you want.
Like they didn't deserve that, because I was definitely neglecting myself at that time. Yeah, I know, exactly.
Yes,
like I deserve it.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Oh my God, I'm gonna keep crying.
No,
I'm so wet.
The second like practice, I think, is like, even I was coming back to talking about it, but in the shower or putting lotion on, just like when you're already doing something, say some nice things to that part of yourself. Yeah. Even if you don't fully believe it yet, even if it's only like factual stuff. Yeah. So like, I don't know, I'll pick my own body. Like, let's say I've been feeling a little self-conscious about my belly lately. It's kind of like the biggest. I'm sort of at the heaviest I've been.
Me too. I just can't drop the weight.
Yeah, and so what I'll do is I'll rub it. Like, I don't know if y'all can see it, but I'll like rub it like this. Yeah. And I'll just be like, thank you for digesting like wonderful food. Aww. Or like, thank you for like allowing me to walk around. Right. Thank you for being so soft. Like, you are loved. Yeah. You are beautiful. You are loved. You are beautiful. Like, I love you. Right. Sorry that I mean to you sometimes. Like, kind of like the way I would want like a lover to touch me.
Bitch,
and just
I'm gonna
like,
cry again. Continue. I'll just keep crying.
Title.
I know, bitch. I'm gonna cry again.
And I'm so wet.
You're right.
But just, it's gonna change your brain. You know, and it's a practice. Some days are harder than others. Sometimes we don't do it. But I'm a big fan of like doing things smartly too, and in a way that works for you. So don't come up with some like big 20-minute, hour-long ritual if you haven't been doing shit. Like, you're not going to do it, and then you're going to feel bad you don't do it, and then you're going to hate yourself more.
Right, exactly.
Like, pick something that is doable, that is small. So I'm talking maybe like, let's start with 1 in the shower, 10 seconds of like, thank you for being alive today. Or like, I like the way the water feels. Like, literally 10 seconds. Yeah. And start with that.
So wet.
It's so wet.
No, because it's like, I've never admitted this, but like, so in our shower, there's like, the mirror kind of faces it, and like, you know, it's kind of like that cabinet you can kind of open, the medicine cabinet and stuff, and I'm like, and we have like clear, like, you know, you could see through like the shower, and I'm just like, I see through and I see myself naked, and to the point where I always open it so I don't see myself. I'm gonna cry. I'm so fucking wet.
I'm so touched and it's so funny at the same time. I have so much love. I have so much love for you right now.
So much love for
I have
you.
so much love for you right now.
Like,
it's
like,
fucking hard. Should we take another promo photo?
I know.
It is, but that's the thing. It's fucking intense, and I know it. That's why we need like community.
Yeah.
You know, and we also need the people around. I mean, look, I am not a fucking fan of this bullshit that's like, no one will love you unless you love yourself. Because I'm like, if we wait until we love ourselves fully,
you will never
always,
find it.
you'll never have
find
love, right? So it's just the process of doing it. And, you know, we're social creatures, so we do need that from other people. We have to find our communities. We have to find our, you know, broke therapy buddies or whatever to, like, uplift us and hold us accountable to do these things with each other and help us see what we can't see yet in the mirror and, like, practice those types of things. It is fucking healing. Like, we need that. But we're taught, you know, it benefits the people in power to have in-group fighting, and that's what, I'm not gonna get on too long of a patriarchy rant, but like that's what it's done. Is it's a lot of women, you know, it's turned us against each other, that we have to like compare, and that was very strategic. You know, that keeps us down because in-group fighting doesn't allow for us to like fucking feel in our power.
Exactly.
Right?
I agree. And I feel like that's even why, like, it's like haven't done threesomes with another woman in the past, even though I want to.
You don't want to
or even hooked up with a woman.
Looking at her body too much.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm so ashamed. I'm like,
like
they can't look better than me.
Yeah.
Like, you know what it is? It's just like, I don't know.
Sounds like you need maybe a one-on-one woman to just like worship you.
Yeah, like I need to like, need like my worship kink stroked by a woman.
Okay, so there are also practitioners that I love referring clients to, and they're called sexological body workers. Have you heard of these?
No.
But they're basically...
I'm learning a lot of new things today.
They are sex coaches and sex educators or somatic sex therapists, they're called. So they're not talk therapists. Talk therapy does not include touch most of the time, at least not in a sensual way. But sexological body workers help people work through this stuff in a hands-on way. So
I think I need that.
They are like a safe, trained, consensual person to sort of help you be able to receive and work on things, but there's like no, I mean, of course there's stakes because it's difficult, but they're not your partner.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to worry about rejecting. They've changed my life.
Wow. I need that, I think, to like guide me through.
Would recommend.
Okay. Well, you need to give me all the recommendations.
Everybody should. I mean, the shitty part is like, I wish they were covered by insurance, and they should be.
Right? They should be. That's under therapy. Why not?
Yeah, but we need help to do that, right? Like, we need somebody to teach us how to do this stuff, because all the other things around us have been teaching us how to, you know,
how to hate ourselves.
Exactly.
Pretty much. Like,
Literally.
we're learned to like hate ourselves. It sucks.
So the good news is that's a learned behavior. You can unlearn it, but you gotta like fucking be repetitive about the unlearning.
Yeah. And it's hard with like social media, because it's like, me and the twins talk about it all the time. We get so many.
I mean, I love y'all, but I fucking hate social media.
Yeah, it's like especially our Instagram comments. It's just, I don't know why Instagram loves to like put us on misogynistic men's feed.
Oh, how fun.
I'm like, you're getting the audience all wrong here, Instagram. Yeah. So it gets, I could be saying something really empowering, like, you know, it doesn't matter if you're too something, whatever, like, you could find love, you know, because people are like, I'm too fat to date or whatever. And like, I've had a whole episode about that. And I just had like so many people shaming. I mean, like, no one likes fat people, or like no one, it's only you have to be skinny. So it was a whole thing. And I'm like, I'm trying to make 2 steps forward while y'all are like trying to, you know, make like 10 steps back. It's a whole thing. So I don't know.
Social media makes me miserable.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole topic. Is we could go on another rampage, you know, but
so with all those comments, that's why we need to surround ourselves with other narratives,
right,
to combat that.
Right.
You know, we have to fucking dress for war here and like have all those tools with us so that we can face the like deluge of all this shit.
Right, and not to take so many things personal.
Yeah.
So I'm learning to numb myself in the comments.
It's hard.
It's hard. I wanted to fight.
Yeah.
They catch me on a bad day, I might.
Yeah.
Right, I
We're
might, but I try not to.
This is not a threat.
This is not a threat, but I will fight you. No. But oh my God, I mean, we could keep crying.
We could.
But we are running out of time.
Later.
So I want you on again. We talked about this. We want to do, can you explain? Because I'm going to butcher the words. The horses.
Oh, yeah. We're just going to make a quick segue into horses. Just to clarify.
Right. Just to clarify.
Not sex and horses.
Right. Yeah. It's nothing bestiality.
Yeah, we like kinky. You can play a horse. But anyway.
Yeah, but
I clarify that because in addition to sex therapy, I also do something called equine assisted therapy, which is therapy with horses and donkeys, which a lot of people are like, what do you mean? When I say I do sex therapy and equine therapy, they're like, so who's fucking the horse?
Who's fucking the horse? Like, is this how to, I get it.
Not what's happening. Is a type of therapy, an experiential type of therapy, where you basically get to work in support of a sentient, beautiful, magical being like a horse. And they kind of help us work through our stuff in real time. Yeah. It's very like relational. It's a lot of metaphors. But I find that people kind of, are able to, work through things that they're struggling with in a real experiential space with the help of a horse. Because people kind of like will project things onto the horse. For example, if we're like dealing with some like anxiety around relationships, let's say you're hanging out with the horse and then it walks away to go get water and the person's like, he hates me. Then we get to explore, what came up.
I'm like that with my cat. I'm like, she hates me right now.
Well, it's really hard to feel rejected.
Right, exactly. I'm like, they like give you something, especially my cat. She's like very so loving, but like,
she has a limit.
But she's like, yeah, fuck you, bitch.
Her positive affect tolerance is so low.
It's so low. Yeah. She has boundaries, and I respect it. But
additionally, they also just really help with co-regulation. They have a lot of what's called mirror neurons, so they like really help you kind of regulate your own body. There's so many layers of it, but yes, stay tuned because I think we're gonna do an episode with horses.
I'm already crying thinking about it. So is it like you talk to the horse, or do you like?
Actually, we just both give therapy to the horse.
They talk to us.
Yeah, we're like, how do you feel about the hay that you're getting today?
Right.
Was the way I poured the water,
was it okay?
Did that work for you?
Do you like warm?
Yeah.
Room temperature water or refrigerator, like cool temperature water?
So usually the way that it works is I'll like sit down and meet with somebody and then we will talk about what they want to work on. My therapy office is at a ranch, so sometimes people will come just for a horse,
what a life.
An animal. It's pretty cool.
Look, what a life.
I am really lucky to be there.
Right.
I found it and I did work to get there, but it's really cool to be able to make it happen. It's called Special Spirit. Y'all should come check it out. But that's where my practice is. And so depending on what we're working on, it can look different. Some of the days people just like need animal love. And so we won't even talk. They'll just like be there with the horse, like crying with the horse and like getting love and non-judgmental, expectational like love from the animal. And that can feel really healing and let people be like seen. Other days, we'll be like, okay, this is what we're going to work on today. And then I will sort of give them a guided activity to do with the horse. And during the activity, stuff will come up that probably comes up in your regular life. And then we get to work through it in real time. So for example, I've had couples like build an obstacle course that represented the kind of sex they want to be having. And then they have to figure out how to get the horse through it. And then you'll get to see like, how do they communicate? What are some ways that they do it differently? What are their different approaches? How do they work together?
Wow.
And it's usually very reflective of what's happening in their real life. And so it's sort of like a little like art therapy where you get to see in like a 3D way, how do people show up in relationship?
Right.
And then you got this wonderful non-judgmental creature who's like the real therapist.
Exactly. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I want to do that now, but we don't have time.
We're going to make it happen.
We're going to make it happen.
Pigs and goats and sheep.
Okay, I just want to come over.
Yeah.
We could do it all. Like, I love animals.
Anytime you want to cry with a goat,
I got you. Down. I'm so down. Like, I'm like, can we go now? I got things to do. Well, where can people find you? This is where you plug yourself.
If you would like me to make you cry in other ways, I'm
And she's gonna
or
make
get
you cry.
really wet. I have a podcast
That's
too,
the name of the episode.
called Sluts and Scholars. We will probably be having an episode together on there sometime as well. So
Yay.
you can
I'll
find
probably
me-
cry more.
Perfect. You can find me on Instagram at Sluts and Scholars or at Therapy with Nicoletta. I'm also online at slutsandscholars.com. And anywhere you get your podcasts, and sometimes TikTok, but not really.
You're like, it's
I'll
hard.
do like
Yeah.
one a month, maybe.
Right. It's hard to be consistent on there. You have to do like they say like 3 times a day you should be posting. I'm like, when?
Yeah.
How? That's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah, slutsandscholars.com is where you'll find me.
Oh, and thank you so much for. I just want to give you a hug, just because like I had a breakthrough moment. That's what therapy is all about, vocal therapy. So, anyways,
Thanks for having me.
I will have you back. We're gonna hang out with horses, and it's gonna be a whole thing. Well, follow me, Stefanie Maegan, or go to brocotherapy.com. All that shit is there. Okay, bye. Broke Girl Therapy.